point of view. You're bad Star Trek. I'm me. Pow, pow, pow. Yeah, that's right. I thought so. Guess what? Mini arcs were in season 3 of Star Trek Picard. That means that I've responded to 4 videos now, comments-wise. We're out of the original arc of the show. We're out of, in my opinion, the best arc, the Writing System arc, as I call it. And now we're going into the Daystrom arc, as I like to call it. This is where things get a little bit weird, but we're still mostly on point, in my opinion. So let's see what's going on with our comments. JoeCroninSHOW, good review. I finally love a season. And echoing that, MovieLateNight. It's a good season finally. I mean, yeah, I like this season, but I think if you two were to maybe be super open-minded, maybe you would like some other seasons of New Trek as well. You know, New Trek. You know, there's other things have happened. You know, there's the animated shows. There's Strange New Worlds. You know, always be open-minded. Always try something. Don't ever let yourself be that person who was responsible for killing something that turned out good. Like, you don't want to end up being that guy who didn't watch Enterprise and refused to watch it, and then later on the show died, and you go back and you're saying, hey, this isn't that bad. You don't want to be that person, right? I mean, maybe you hate Enterprise, that's fine. There's lots of reasons you can hate or love anything, but I'm just saying, you may find that with something that you learn to like later, that maybe in the past, a previous version of you would have been the person who hated it, right? And then let it die by refusing to even look. So I always try to look at everything. I even try to watch stuff I don't like. Thanks a lot, though, MovieLateNight, JoeCroninSHOW. If that is how you pronounce CroninSHOW, I don't know. Again, for imposters. Shaw did earn the right to feel smug. He survived. He's not in any trouble. It's supposed to be over, he thinks. When I hum jauntily. Yeah, I echoed this in my review. I wasn't upset by it. I don't know if you took that from it, but I was kind of laughing at the fact that he was just like humming, and he was so happy that he had gotten out of this with clean hands, basically. He managed to get out of the writing system without accruing a ton of blame, which is a fun experience, you know. It's always fun to get out of a problem and it wasn't your fault. Again, from Michael Papp. As much as I love seeing all these brand new ships, I do want to see a couple of legacy ones. Where is my Nebula class? Can I please see the hood? I missed the hood. Well, I got the hood right here for you. Check it out. I got the hood. Yeah, I bet you didn't know Starfleet employed wizards. Okay, that's enough of that. As much as I love seeing all these brand new ships, yeah, I was talking about, I believe here, I was saying that it was glad to see, like, lots of Starfleet ships on display. The first 2 seasons were sorely lacking. Season 2, outside of the first and last bit of the entire season, had nothing. I do want to see a couple of legacy ones. Yeah, I do too. I don't mind retiring some old ones. I'm not upset with retiring the Reliant. I just call it the Miranda class. I mean, fantastic ship, but you and I both know that sometimes things have to be retired. Some things belong in the museum. But I do want to see a couple. I want to see the Ambassador class flying around. I know I mentioned that before. Where is it? We saw it like 3 times in the entire franchise. I think we saw the Enterprise. I think we saw the Zhukov. And what else did we see? Something else. I can't remember. But and they're both kind of variants of it too. Like, there's 2 different Ambassador class variants, by the way. Yeah. Where's the Nebula class? That's right. I don't love the Nebula class, but I'd like to see it somewhere. Where they really should have upgraded the quality on some of the models for Wolf 359. I'd like to see the Springfield flying around. That would be cool. Just to mention stuff from Wolf 359. Can I please see the hood? The hood, is that still in... I wonder at this point, would that still be an Excelsior class? We kind of forgot that we can just museum a ship and then give the name to something else. We kind of lost that, like we always do with the something A, right? Like the hood A, like you don't have to do that. Like you can blow up the hood. Blow it up. Why would you do that? You can, put it in the mothball fleet and then bring back the hood as like a, I don't know, something kind of different that you wouldn't expect. Like bring it back as a Nova class or Prometheus type. That they're cool. Thanks a lot, Michael Papp. Undertaker is back. So in reality, we still haven't moved Trek forward. It's just leftover member berries. Only the shills that think this is only the shills that think this is great. A D different. Question mark, question mark, what? Question mark, question. WTAF, question. D different. I can't not think about the Enterprise D when I read that. D different. You like Enterprise? D different. Instead of being different, don't say B different, say D different. It's the D, but it's D different. Galaxy class, it's D different. And there was a variant on the Galaxy class. Remember the one with the phaser strips on the nacelles? And then, of course, we have the 3 nacelle variant, which I just despise. It's a total hot rod. You don't want to... And I didn't make that up. Hot rod comes from, like, X-Ass or Sanchi or something like that. You call ships that are, like, just have a bunch of pointless doodads on it a hot rod. Yeah, so in reality, I mean, technically, yes. Technically, Discovery Season 3 and 4 moved Star Trek forward. Technically. Just leftover member berries. I mean, unfortunately, we have to deal with recovering people's expectations for what Star Trek should look like. If you've been through Star Trek Picard Season 1 and 2, you would be very hungry for something that makes it feel like Star Trek, quote-unquote. And the easiest way they found to do that was to put in quote-unquote member berries. Yeah, and there's a lot of shills who really, really were liking the season before it came out that, I have to question their judgment a little bit on how it ended. Like, there's people who were hyping this up as a 10 out of 10 season, and it's just not. But because it's derivative, it breaks some rules in a weird way, and it's just, some of it is a little bit boring, but it's not horrible. But those people who were praising it up like the best things in sliced bread, I think they were, I don't know, I don't want to have any conspiracy thoughts here about why that would be, but I think they were wrong at least. But I don't hate it either. Thanks, Undertaker. Michael Papp is back. It's a give and take relationship with nature. They lose some endurance in exchange for better. Yeah, this is where I was talking about, I believe, where we learned a little bit about the changelings. The new changelings in this season. Exchange for better disguising. I get it. Hard to be disguised as a human when you're far more durable than one, especially if you're able to take human-like damage. Yeah. I like it when the Great Link did it to Odo. Yeah, they made him temporarily solid. It forces his body to mimic a solid so well. I forgot how to change. These deviant changelings are along that path. Not as far as Odo was forced, but they can go deeper with their limitation. Again, you have fantastic explanations for things that are shown on screen, but I don't know if this was like canon what they said exactly, nor not as far as Odo was forced. They can go deeper with their imitation. Accurate imitation counts as natural limitations. True. They're so good at mimicking humans that their brains get blown out when they died, just like a human would. Exactly. But it doesn't, like, if the theme of the changelings were that if you wanted to make the changelings so they were better at pretending to be humans or other aliens at the cost of making them weak, and that was like a theme that ran through the entire season was like espionage, then you would probably like have more scenes of them at Starfleet headquarters. It would probably alter the whole season right? For me, my thinking on this is that this was an attempt just to have a lot of grunts get killed on screen on starships. Like, I'm taking the, the negative point of view. I have to play devil's advocate here. Like, there's no reason to reply to this if I'm just going to say this is perfect. I have to say something in response. That's one way to look at it. But I think in the end, we're all going to agree that the changelings, they just weren't as scary this time. I don't know. I was just not as scared by them. I was scared by them passing more tests against Starfleet's attempt to find mimics. Things that changelings. But just how easy they were to kill. Like, I thought it would have been more dramatic and a little bit more fun in this season if they were like, oh, we're changelings, right? Original changelings are extremely powerful. We're like 70% as powerful instead of like 10% as powerful. I think that would be like a better trade-off. Because changelings are more fun when there's like one and they're very powerful than it would be to have like 10 that were only 10% as strong as one. I'm just totally pragmatically talking about how to design the show to be fun. Like, it's not about logic, right? Logically, you could say that, the better mimicry makes them weaker because they're closer to, the thing they're trying to mimic, and that makes sense. Thanks, Michael Papp. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about here, so I'm going to have to look it up. I wish you didn't remind me of that now. What you were saying here, that absolutely would have been very cool. I was talking about using the Enterprise D set for 10 forward on the holodeck on the Titan, and how cool that would have been to have Ro Learn and Picard end up there. Oh, man, that would have been so cool. They did rebuild some of the 10 forward set for Picard Season 1. God, just imagine if they still had it and we could have went to 10 forward instead of maybe like a third of the times we went to the bar scene on the Titan in the holodeck, we could have went to 10 forward. That would have been sick. And now you just made me upset because now I'm thinking about it and how we'll never have it. I really like the scenes between Ro and Picard. To me, they felt very natural and honest. Both acted the hell. Yeah. The Ro Learn and Picard stuff didn't work as well for me as it did for you. That's fine. I mean, yeah, you can say that they're acting very well. They are. The performances in this season are generally very, very good. So yeah, thanks a lot, Michael Papp. Nah, dude, when Picard told Ro he sees her now, I started crying. That's great. Great stuff to me. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't really emotionally connect with me for some reason. I guess I'm just a little bit callous. I'm a little bit frosted over in some way. But this is, you'll notice, the idea of quote unquote seeing someone. That's mentioned twice in this season. So when something specific comes up twice, that might mean that there's like a hidden theme running throughout the season. I caught the theme of evolution. Look at, I think it's in either my last review for this season or the one before it, episode 9. I can't remember which one. But I brought up the fact that evolution came up, I think, twice at the end. And Sung brought it up in his holographic form in the episode The Bounty, I think. The idea of evolution and themes involved. I'm not going to go back into it here. But I noticed that I was listening to the soundtrack for Star Trek Picard Season 3. And sure enough, one of the tracks is called Evolution. So I like caught that before, just by interpreting the way it was used multiple times in the season. When Jack is talking to 7 of 9, 7 of 9 says being seen or something like that. And then it comes up again when Ro is talking to Picard. So that must mean that like being noticed by someone in some way, in some like metaphysical way, is another important sub-level theme below the surface of this season. that it may warrant rewatching to see if there's any more things like that in there that you can pick out. Thanks a lot, Michael Papp. This made sense later. I was talking about how having the entire fleet present at Frontier Day was a horrible idea. Later on, it's more or less insinuated that that's part of the Changeling plan to have them all there. And then you said you can if enough Changelings are in charge, which is more correct than I was, because you have caught on to the idea that the Changelings had this whole thing orchestrated from the beginning. So if enough Changelings were in charge, you could manipulate things so that all the fleet would be in one spot at one time where it could attack Space Dock, right? Which I think was part of the plan, because you would be significantly crippling Starfleet if you could destroy Earth Space Dock. A little bit skeptical about what Beverly said, that this would be the end of the Federation, though. I think she said it would kill the Federation if they destroyed Earth, something like that. Doubt, but it's certainly a huge stepping stone to doing so, though. You can, if enough Changelings are in charge, and you sure can, and they sure did. Oh god, you're right, so many legacy characters killed. Also, this is where I was talking about Ro. We lost Ro, we lost Q, we lost Data in Season 1. And then we killed Shaw. He's not a legacy character. He would have been if he was in the supposed show Star Trek Legacy. I don't know if you've been noticing that, but Terry Matalis has been trying to push this idea of calling a show Star Trek Legacy, which I don't love that name. I mean, what is in a name, right? You know, but Star Trek Legacy kind of to me says past, and I like words that have the connotation of future for Star Trek. So many legacy characters killed, yes. And then also you'll note at the end of Season 2, I believe Elnor was on the Excelsior, which was destroyed off screen in Season 3. So we actually did kill a character from Season 1 and 2, which is weird. But nobody wants to see the Excelsior destroyed. Why did we do that? Should have been the Hood. Undertaker 4518. Imagine how honored you would be to meet the legendary Commander LaForge. Then think of how he acted meeting the man who literally wrote the book, Captain Scott. It was a funny scene when Shaw met LaForge. I mean, in the time since TNG, he's become, I guess, a famous Starfleet engineer. I mean, again, every time you call back to a previous character and give them a lot of fame, deserved or not, you are kind of limiting the universe. Like, oh, all the characters we knew are all famous now because they're famous to us. I love LaForge. I thought he was fantastic in this season. But then think of how he acted meeting the man who literally wrote the book, Captain Scott. He's talking about the episode Relics. LaForge met Scotty, in Relics and TNG, and he wasn't at all impressed by Scotty, which is mind-boggling to me going back. I still love the episode, but I think that it didn't quite have the proper reverence for Montgomery Scott, although the episode worked out in a heartwarming and charming way. Thanks a lot, Undertaker. We have now gotten to the point of literally digging up the dead corpse of Trek. The Phoenix program, or whatever they call it. This is where I mentioned that they go into the Daystrom station and they can literally see that they have Captain Kirk's body in there. I didn't take it as badly as you did. I would have said that if they hadn't shown the Constitution class refit, but they did in that episode, so I interpret it a little bit more favorably. What the heck is this? Ranking the Star Trek uniforms. Oh, a Smurf is here. Look, Mice drinking tea. This list is on point. Only major deviation I would have made would be to put the first contact where Nemesis is. And then bump Nemesis down a tier in front of generations. The effects are impressive, and it's interesting to see the origins of humanity's tentative steps towards workability, but the story itself held too many issues. Still, it's definitely the better of the TNG films. I would agree. Yeah. The TNG films, like, everybody basically thinks First Contact is the best. I agree with that. They're all kind of strange, but the effects are impressive. It is interesting to see humanity's tentative steps towards workability, but it could have been done a lot better. I didn't like that Zefram Cochrane was some vagrant kind of. That's a vast overgeneralization, but I think you can get the point. I think you could have rewrote it, and I think you could have, instead of had the Phoenix, you could have had the Bonaventure. If you know what that is, it's kind of like a deep cut into old Star Trek history. But I grew up on the like Star Trek chronology or whatever. I'm looking at the book right now that posits that the Bonaventure was the first warp vessel, and it looks totally different. I think it could have been done better, but for what it was a good movie on its own. Just has a lot of issues that come up when you think about it, and a lot of missed opportunity. But thanks a lot for generally saying the list is on point. Again, it's very subjective. It's a subjective thing. It's hard to get it right all the time. Thanks, Mice Drinking Tea. Michael Papp, there is nothing to forgive. Your level of excitement is incredibly acceptable. I was talking about the potential appearance of the Bounty, which is the ship that Kirk and co. recovered in Star Trek for the Voyage Home. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it makes an appearance in this episode, and there's nothing to forgive about being excited, I guess. I tend to think, like, when I'm excited about something purely superficial, like music, the presence of a certain character, the presence of a certain ship, I often feel like I should apologize for that because it's a cheap way to derive excitement out of the viewer. That's not entirely wrong, but it's always good to see somebody forgive me for being excited about something superficial in that way, if you would accept that explanation. Yeah, I was talking about this. I remember this. This is when I was saying that they stole the diamonds, or they stole the pearls to distract from the lack of the diamonds, or something, or vice versa. It was just basically about stealing something to distract somebody, even though the real reason they stole something was so that we could have the Righton arc, which I'm fine with because it was fun. The portal weapon. What Beverly meant by her analogy was Vadic stole something huge and executed something unignorable, deflected attention away from what they were actually wanting by doing something completely intentional. Yeah, it's just that I thought it was weird. I think what was weird about it was that stealing pearls to distract from the diamonds, or stealing diamonds to distract from the pearls, either one, it doesn't matter. I guess what I mean by that is that it was confusing because I don't know which one you want more. Like, it should be kind of like they stole the shuttlecraft to distract us from the fact that they stole the entire ship. You know, say something like that like everybody watching can kind of understand. Like, I don't what's more valuable, a diamond or a pearl? I don't know. Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 6, Bounty. Vadic ship set is a redress of the last Serena's lower level. Okay. To me, it reminded me a lot of on the planet Metalis. Just some of the decor of it looked like it was a set that was embedded into that they just went to. But generally speaking, with their sets, the whole thing felt a little cheap. Go back and check out Discovery Season 1, and look how expensive that one feels. It's interesting that thumb up was like outlined, and like now I hit it again and it's not. Like, what was it with that? I respect the restraint. This is talking about suspension of disbelief, I think is what you're getting into. And the ability for the show to restrain itself from being perfectly self-referential all the time. And also, this could also be referring to me. I'm not sure which one, because I show restraint in my ability to temper my expectations with regards to the appearance of superficial objects like ships and all that. Art is actually a discipline, right? You can make anything, but it takes a lot of restraint to make something that makes sense, right? And it's very important. You'll often see people that say it doesn't have to make sense. This is a show where ships go faster than light. That's not real. So why can't we just have Picard turn into a vampire? Like, why not? That's very dumb, because this person doesn't understand suspension of disbelief and does not understand that a story is defined by its limitations, right? And the challenge of writing is to write around the limitations you set for yourself. Like, think of it like this, like, if you expect something to happen and then it doesn't, and that surprises you and that makes you feel happy, that's because your brain knew how the story could have worked out, but then the writers knew a different way that it could have worked out, still within the realm of logic, which makes the experience novel and enjoyable, right? If that wasn't the case, then nobody would like anything. Right? Everything would just be, you might as well just watch static. So thanks a lot, Michael Papp. More of Michael Papp. The reason why everything is so visually unclear is because all the details are dark. It's not a bright background, so you can't see anything. Cameras don't pick it up. Yeah, the cameras are underexposed. If you don't know this, in the realm of color, the lighter the tones, the more possible visual information is present per pixel. When you go into the lower band of colors, the amount of possible information per pixel is lowered, right? So what this means is that darker tones, to our eye, look more similar to each other than lighter tones do. So contrast goes down as it gets darker. And when you don't turn the lights on the bridge, it makes everything blurry. I have a theory that this show might actually be blurry despite that. But my point here is, I was getting at, I think, in this video, was that it's hard to zoom in on anything in this show and get any details. The HD remaster of TNG is crystal clear. You can zoom in and read little Easter eggs on stuff that are written in that people were never intentionally meant to see in the 80s and 90s, for that matter. But yeah, it's an interesting observation. I hate how you pointed out how illogical the whole premise of Data being the AI of an unmanned station is. I hate that too. I like this episode despite that. This episode might be my favorite of the season. But I just hated that. That's awful. You had an opportunity, right, for our characters to kind of get into an action scene. I mean, I know you want to, creators of the show. I know you want to see changelings bited by the millions. But for whatever reason, the super high-tech Daystrom station, Daystrom, if you know what that is, had no security at all. We can beat the security outright with black market hacker tech, and there's nobody on board, and it's being controlled by an AI that is known to be rogue. What the heck is that? That's one of the dumbest things in the season, but I forgave it. My guess is they're setting up this starship interconnectivity in order to shut down every ship in Starfleet except for the one at the Fleet Museum. My guess is we are going to get a sequence where all the hero ships are going to be in use and kicking ass. Technically speaking, those Starfleet ships are still in active duty. Presumably. The duty they're active for is Fleet Museum Relic, but it's still active duty. Ergo, they need to maintain optimum operations and functionality. This is handled by the crew of the museum itself. Where were they at? It would be cool to see more of those people at the museum. But there's a real-life president. I know this. I actually knew this. Because if you watch enough Star Trek, you also kind of get the knock-on effect of learning about naval things. I believe the oldest ship in the U.S. is the Constitution. See, I knew that before I even read this comment here. The commission is from literally when the country was founded, the U.S.S. Constitution. It's a museum now. I know. You're basically correct. This is what happened in this season, which is, a logical way it could. I knew as soon as we saw a museum that, okay, we're flying something out of that museum. I thought it was going to be the Bounty, but it wasn't. It was the Enterprise, which is fine. And then I brought up the fact that why didn't they just take other ships too? Like take multiple ships, and then I think you said that they're in museum mode or something like that, and the Enterprise was actually being tinkered around by Geordi all the time. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it would have been really cool to get like the Wershing. I think is the U.S.S. Wershing. I believe named after the actress who portrayed the Borg Queen in season 2, who I think died, unfortunately. That's an Akira class. I think Akira classes would have been cool to have going because they're a fan favorite and they're really cool and they're new and they look like combat capable. But instead we took the massive, bulky Galaxy class, which I love. But you're mostly right with this prediction here. I mean, it just came true, just in a different way. We only got the Galaxy class out. I thought Veda killed those two with them because they were Starfleet officers, which means some officers are okay with the beating of prisoners. Wow. Yeah, if you interpret... Okay, what happened here was this is when they caught Riker. Vadic killed the two Starfleet officers behind her. I interpreted them as being changelings that Vadic just sacrificed for some reason. But when you point out that they could have actually just been Starfleet, it really makes it look horrible. Because they were just like... They didn't try to restrain Vadic for just just wailing on Picard there. Like, I can't imagine why Vadic would unalive two of her own crew. That one on the ship was giving her a hard time. Not a good reason to kill somebody, but at least I saw it. Unless those two were Vadic or somehow bothered. I don't know. We saw the same thing, but saw two different scenes. I just immediately saw it as, they're changelings. They were disubordinate in some way. Vadic is mean. Let's just kill him. And then you said this was Starfleet. I don't want that. I do not want them to be Starfleet officers for the exact reason you're saying here. So I'm going to go on and continue to believe in my headcanon. Thanks, Michael Papp. I am mad we did not get a nice close-up of the NX-01 Enterprise refit with Archer's theme playing. I was waiting for it. I believe we had Archer's theme in Discovery Season 4, Season 3 at some point. Did it not play when we were looking at Archer Space Dry Dock, whatever the heck it was called, in Starfleet headquarters, however it works in Discovery? The NX-01 refit, it used to be a favorite of mine. I still love it. The NX-01 refit. It would have been so cool to see it, but it's good to know it's canon. So, I mean, if we can get that Enterprise Season 5 going, maybe we can see it. But we're going to have to digitally de-age everybody. I guess if Picard Season 3 has taught us anything, it's that you shouldn't just let your actors wither away. Use them before they're gone. Okay? We've lost a lot of people. We can still kind of come back for Voyager, I think. We can still kind of come back for the Enterprise crew. Sadly, the same cannot be said of the Deep Space Nine crew. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. But there's a hidden inside the Star Trek timeline is a Star Trek movie with the Enterprise crew and like early pre-TOS stuff where you could have had a movie in there where you don't have to digitally de-age them. You could say that actually like 30 years have passed. I think I could buy that. 21 will may have a movie in like 2180. We'll call them all 30 years older, even though they're not. But we can buy the fact that medical science has advanced to the point where them being older and they look younger, actually, right? You can like massage it in your brain, so that makes sense. I mean, there's a movie in there. I'm not sure what it could be about, but it would be cool. It'd be cool to see the Daedalus class, which I love. It'd be cool to see the NX-01 refit. It'd be cool to see what Shran's doing. You know? It'd be cool. Make it some, like, kind of, like, political thriller about, the Klingon, the beginning of, hostilities with the Klingons, right? Because we know that was before TOS and, like, after Enterprise, maybe. I agree. I believe we're going to see the Galaxy class. We did. I think in the aforementioned Hangar 12 is where Geordi was fixing the room. Yeah, that's what happened. They're going to add a new secondary hull. They did. And I just pinned this comment because somehow you just knew exactly what was going to happen. They did. I think they said Geordi either said a secondary hull or nacelles came from the U.S.S. Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken. I believe lore and data will ultimately become integrated. Their full name would be Data Lore, just like the episode called Data Lore. I do not want Riker to die. It could very well happen, though. Yeah, data and lore were kind of like quote-unquote integrated, like data lost, but lore incorporated data and became a more complete person. I was fine with the arc Data went through in this season. I think some people might be annoyed that we don't have like classic Data back, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was a logical arc for Data to go on. You know, Data, quote unquote. I do not want Riker to die. I didn't either. It could very well happen though. Watch the last episode. You can tell that they wrote it in such a way to make the audience think Riker was going to die. You can see that that's what they were going to do, and then they didn't do it. And for Dominion, we're going to save that for next time because we're an hour in. Once I cut this down, it's going to be a little bit less than an hour, so it's probably going to take me like 6 hours to upload this video. Sorry to say. The amount of time I can spend uploading does limit what I can, the length of the videos that I can create. So aren't we all limited in a way by the resources that surround us? I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time. So long.